What's up, everyone? Zach Reger with SBD here, and we're going to be talking some NFL player props today. And no, we're not talking week one player props, even though they are out now at sportsbooks. But don't worry, there will be plenty of coverage on those here on this channel and on sportsbettingdime.com. I'm joined today by Matt McEwan, and we are going to talk about our favorite season-long NFL player props for this upcoming season. We are so close. We are just over a week away from kickoff. And before we get into the picks, please make sure you're subscribed, you like, comment if you're enjoying our content. Matt, thanks for hopping on with me. Are you ready for some football?
Thanks for having me, Zach. Very ready. How did we get here, man? I mean, it seems every year goes by, the summer just completely disappears. I can't believe we're about to kick off the season. Super excited. Especially excited to be here talking some season-long props.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Summer shortens up a little bit, and all of a sudden we are right back into it.
It'll be week
I'm
18
gonna let
before we
you.
blink, right? So let's
Yeah,
let's enjoy it while we have it.
but we got to be in the moment still. We can't get too excited. We got to stay steady, stay level, and just enjoy another football season. So Matt, let's get right into it. What is your favorite NFL season-long player prop for the 2025-2026 season?
So, Zach, we already talked about this really quickly. I'm gonna actually this isn't my favorite that I'm about to give because you know what my favorite is, and I'm gonna leave that one for you as a Titans fan, and we'll talk about that, and that's great. I actually have gone through. I've dissected every single season prop that is available, every over under that is available for passing, rushing, receiving. Um, I I found 10. I pulled 10 out. Now I'm not gonna talk all 10 here. I've written on all 10 that I love. Like I don't understand what the sports books are thinking here, right? And I'm trying to in putting myself in their shoes. I just don't get it. So my favorite you're going to talk about. My next favorite here, though, JJ McCarthy over 3,650.5 passing yards. Now I'm also betting this at 4,000 plus 210 odds at DraftKings. Now, here's why. First of all, I am a massive Kevin O'Connell fan. His offenses have been top 6 in passing yards in all 3 seasons that he has been head coach here of the Minnesota Vikings. And when you start looking at that, you think of Vikings last few years, you think of Kirk Cousins typically, right? There's one season he threw for like 4,800 yards, great year. But it wasn't always Kirk Cousins in this time, right? As we know, Sam Darnold last year, Kevin O'Connell deserves, like an agent fee almost in Sam Darnold's newest contract with the Seahawks. He completely resurrected his career. This is a guy who went to Carolina, there was 4 weeks there where I think he was like in the MVP running. The league caught up. He started seeing ghosts again, and he got booted out of town. He's been a backup since. Could not find a starting job. And you have a situation in Minnesota he walked into last year. Fantastic situation. I don't think it could have been better for Sam Darnold. He added 22 yards per game to his passing average over his next highest season. Now, that's Sam Darnold. Kevin O'Connell is responsible for resurrecting Sam Darnold's career. Now, again, I don't know that will remain in Seattle. We can talk about that another time. But you also have to consider in 2023, when Kirk Cousins was hurt it was 9 games of the season where they started one of Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, and Jaron Hall. Those 3 guys combined for 9 starts in the season. They threw for a combined total of 2,369 yards in those 9 games. They outpaced this prop for JJ McCarthy. This is the first time that Kevin O'Connell got to choose his guy. Now, I appreciate that statement. You might need to consider some things. Would he have chosen Caleb Williams over him? Would he have chosen, one of the other guys that had already gone in the draft? Maybe. He chose JJ McCarthy instead of not taking a quarterback. He's selected him as his guy. He spent time with him all last season, continued to keep up with him in spite of him being hurt. And Then he chose to rest J.J. McCarthy most of the preseason, too. Why? Because he obviously feels comfortable with what J.J. McCarthy's doing in the offense. What he's seen is good enough for him to walk into the season without any other game reps for McCarthy. This one just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not even necessarily betting J.J. McCarthy here. I'm betting Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback whisperer, he is going to get 3,650 and a half plus yards out of JJ McCarthy this season. I think he gets easily 4,000, to be honest with you. I think McCarthy ends up around like 4,300 for the season. We gotta stop thinking about JJ McCarthy, Michigan, Harbaugh offense. This is a Kevin O'Connell offense. They're gonna throw the ball. They're gonna take big chunks. He has maybe the best. It's called number 2 receiver in the NFL. This one's easy to me, man.
I mean, they just added Adam Thielen too today. That's just another good, reliable receiver who is familiar with that offense.
Missing Addison for the first 4 weeks. So, yeah, I totally agree.
And I'm going to stay on the topic of quarterbacks. We've kind of alluded to it. Your favorite pick, one of my favorite picks. And it's not just because I'm a Titans fan. It's Cam Ward, over 3,200 and a half passing yards. And sometimes with these season-long props that I notice, it is very funny to look at them because you just see these huge numbers and you're like almost taken aback by it sometimes. And then you just divide it by 17 and you're like, oh, that's manageable. That's doable. He needs just over 188 passing yards per game to reach this prop. And now it might be a tough start against your Broncos week 1 at Mile High, but maybe we can double down, get a better number later. And just, I believe in him this year. The combination of Will Levis and Mason Rudolph combined for 3,621 pass yards, that's over this prop. And that was also with Brian Callahan running the ball way more than he has ever ran the ball as a play caller. He was terrified to put the ball in Will Levis's hands. And I cannot blame him. Cam Ward, he's just such a better quarterback than those. You can see it in the preseason. He's comfortable in the pocket. He's had some great throws. And the Titans, they're not projected to win a lot of games. They'll be down. They'll be throwing the ball. Very favorable schedule.
Totally agree. I love the pick, man. Callahan offenses have finished I think it's top 5 in pass attempts in 3 of his 5 seasons as a play caller. And one of those was the 2021 Bengals, which they finished like 20th, I believe, in pass attempts, but they were like 7th in passing yards. They were just so insanely explosive. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, So, last season was such an anomaly, as you said, for Brian Callahan. And I'm shocked this number is what it is. I agree with you. As you can see, some of the Broncos memorabilia behind me there. I hope it's a rough week 1 for him, but I'm happy to bet this. I agree with you right now. This is a great pick. He was scared to give it to Levis and Rudolph for good reason, right? I mean, he's got to keep his job too, right?
He just seems happier this offseason. Maybe it's just the Titans stuff that I'm getting on my feed, but he just seems happier. He seems just more content, more relaxed, which he does have to keep his job. He still is, quote unquote, on the hot seat if he does not perform this year, but he just seems happier when he's around Cam Ward.
He's yet to see a Will Levis style turnover out of Cam Ward.
I guess not. And watching the preseason,
a decade off your life right there.
I love seeing him. There have been a couple third downs on his first drive of the game. He rolls out, no one's there, and he throws it out of bounds. And while some people might be like, oh no, like try to make a play, it's preseason. That is such a breath of fresh air for me to see. Just throw the ball away, punt it, live to see another down because I'm so scarred from last season. And I know Brian Callahan is even more than I am. I do have another little bonus pick based off this one. I mean, I think these two go hand in hand. And that's Calvin Ridley, over 925 and a half receiving yards. We just talked about the quarterbacks, Will Levis, Mason Rudolph. He had over 1,000 receiving yards last year. He is going to be a target monster. The Titans added a lot of young rookies in the receiving room, but nothing that's really going to take away from Calvin Ridley. And last year, he led the NFL in total air yards on all targeted passes with 1,840. Cam Ward's got an arm. If they can connect on some of these, I think he should have no problem hitting at least 926 receiving yards.
Yeah, when you look at his pass catchers, I mean, it feels like he's going to have to lean on Ridley quite a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like some of our young guys, but I mean, it's still Ridley. And you have even seen the connection in the preseason when Ridley has been on the field. That's where he's gone to. He still has some left in the tank. He's a good route runner. So I like Calvin Ridley here. I think they're a lot of the same reasons I like Cam Ward. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot, and Calvin Ridley is the go-to guy.
For what it's worth, I also am betting Cam Ward 3,500 plus at plus 175 at DraftKings.
I
And
like
again,
that.
I mean, it's not that much more. We're still talking that's
Will Levis and Mason
3,500.
Rudolph still hit over that number?
Exactly. 3,500 is, we're talking, assuming he plays a full 17 game schedule there, we're talking just over like 200 yards a game, right? So I think that's very attainable in a Brian Callahan offense, too.
Absolutely. So what is your next NFL player prop
My
that you
third,
want to
my
talk about?
third favorite pick here. I really like Chase Brown over 875.5 rushing yards. This is another one where I don't understand. I don't understand what we're doing here. So much so that I'm also betting it at 1,000 plus 170 at BetMGM. I think that's also a really easy line. This is a guy who rushed for 990 yards last season. He sat out the final week of the year. He had, I believe, 14 combined rush attempts over his first three games. He opened the season as the clear backup in this case, and he was making so many plays in those touches that they had to get hit the button. Zach Moss wasn't really that enthusiastic either. That wasn't really a whole lot to watch. So they make the change to Chase Brown. In his final 13 games, he averages 68.2 rushing yards per game on 16 and a half rushing attempts per game. Now, that volume is pretty significant as well because the Bengals offensive line stunk last year. I believe PFF ranked them 29th in the league in run blocking. It was bad. They've got a couple new starters, projected starters there on the offensive line. The other thing that factors in here, too, is how bad the Bengals defense was last year. They were always finding themselves in negative game scripts. They were having to throw the ball. Their offense was having to win a shootout every week. They're having to score quick to get the ball back quickly and score again. So I think this year we're going to see a little bit more out of their defense. I think their offensive line is going to be a little bit improved. I think they're just going to want a more balanced attack on offense, not lean so heavily on Joe Burrow to throw the ball 40 times a game. Spread it around, and I like if he keeps that pace, the 68.2 yards per game, if he paces that, just stays there for a full 17 game schedule, that's 1,158 rushing yards. That clears the 1,000 by 158 yards. That clears this prop line by, we're talking nearly 300 yards. So this is another one I don't get it. He comes in as the lead back. I don't think there's any real competition for him there. Everybody's raving about him this year, how he just keeps improving, keeps getting better. I think he's going to be a real part of this offense consistently. So I love Chase Brown over this number. Rushing yards, 1,000 plus as well.
I love Chase Brown. I'm trying to get every bit of him in all my fantasy leagues. They didn't really add any running backs that really scare you to take away from his workload. It's going to be all Chase Brown in an explosive offense, so I love that. The next pick, I'm going to Malik Nabers over 1,150 and a half receiving yards. Nabers had over 1,200 receiving yards last year, catching passes from Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, and Drew Lock. Say what you will about Russell Wilson. They got Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston. Those are all upgrades. And if Jameis Winston gets to play a couple games, gets to start, I love this prop so much more. I'm hammering the individual week Malik Nabers prop if Jameis Winston is just in there slinging it. But even if he doesn't, to hit this number, he needs just under 68 receiving yards per game. He had a huge target share last year, and they did not add anyone to the receiving room. So there's no reason for that to change. Similar to the Titans, they're not projected to be that good, so they'll be down in games throwing the ball, and Nabers is just that great. I love the talent, and I'm not too worried about the injury. He should be good to go week 1, and he can get at least 68 yards per game. So I love Malik Nabers to go over his receiving prop.
He's the clear guy in that offense right now. Like
Yeah.
I know some people
Yeah, not
like.
even just receivers,
I
just
know, like I know some people like
game.
Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatabo, but like it's Malik Nabers. This guy's a stud. And I agree with you. If Winston gets in, he might only need like a handful of weeks to hit this prop. I mean, he'll see 20 targets a game with Jameis there.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so those are my picks. Any other player props you want to touch on, talk about outside of just the 10 that I know you have?
You know what? I will save those. Go read the 10 that I have. I've talked about two at length. I commented on your third. I don't know the audience wants to hear me talk too much more. So go
Awesome.
read.
I will put a link to that article in the description of this so you guys can go check them out and go look around at the sports books for these props. Make sure you get the best number because they vary with these sports books. Anything 50, 25, even more yardage per one. So make sure you get the best number. And Matt, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun. Like I said, we are so close to this football season. I can feel it. Let's have a great season.
Thanks for having me, Zach. Appreciate it. Go football.